a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am so pleased to welcome back for another visit to Dean Goodine. Welcome back, Dean.
Yes, nice to be back, Nancy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I just want to remind people that you're a props master for the film industry, correct?
Correct. We use the term property master, which most people think is real estate, but in reality, we handle everything the actors touch and move on a set. It comes from weapons to eyeglasses to food to books. Anything they interact with on a set, we're in charge of.
Property masters. Okay, great. I'll try to remember that.
That's okay. It's fine. We'll just
correct me every time.
Yeah, no, I won't actually. I'm fine. You can call me anything you like.
I'm the same. Like, who cares, right?
Yeah, at the end.
Now, you've written a book. Is it just the one book you've written?
Yeah, I've just written the one book called They Don't Pay Me to Say No, My Life in Film and Television Props. And it chronicles my 36-year journey through from the beginnings of my career to up until 2020. And it's full of humorous stories. And there's some lessons in there for young filmmakers, not just prop people, but all filmmakers in general. And I wrote it in a fun style because I'm from the East Coast of Canada and we don't believe in taking too many things seriously.
Right. That's why I wear pajama bottoms when I'm doing this.
I have slippers on. I did put on pants in case I had to stand up. But other than that, I'll be back in the pajama bottoms within 35 minutes.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I used to do my show with three camera setup and you could see everything, right? But I always wore fun slippers just to make sure I stayed grounded.
Absolutely.
So now, first of all, what inspired you to write your book?
Well, I started to post some funny stories on my Facebook page because I decided 5 years previous that I would not do any political commentary. I would not go negative because I felt like people needed a break. And I thought if they want to jump onto my page, I would at least try to make it fun. And so people just kept saying, oh, you should write a book. And I kept thinking, who wants to read a book about a prop master? But when the pandemic hit, I had some time on my hands and I had all these stories. So I just figured out how to write a book from it. And I hadn't really thought about putting it out. And then the Rust tragedy happened. And my wife looked at me and said, you have to put your book out because people need to know what props do to keep people safe on set. And so I circled back and sent it to a few publishers who sent me some nice rejection letters. They send really nice letters to people they don't want to publish. And at least it was encouraging. And then I decided to self-publish and put it out. And I really had no expectations. I thought, oh, if I sell it to 5 people I don't know, then that's a success. And the book's taken off. I mean, it's certainly not a bestseller. So it's a unique kind of a boutique book.
Yeah.
But it's getting well known in North America and the world, actually.
That's really nice. Yeah. I would think there must be many, many stories like, because one of the things you talked about the first time you were on the show is about how you interact with many famous actors and big and small actors, you know, and I don't mean in height, but as in fame and stuff. And so all kind of events happening as property masters.
Yeah, we really are the last person to touch an actor with our props 99% of the time before the camera rolls. And a lot of times before the movie starts, we spend time with actors teaching them whatever they have to be in the movie. Are you a brain surgeon? Well, okay, I'll find a brain surgeon. We'll get all the appropriate tools together and we'll figure out how to make you look like you know what you're doing on camera. Are you a martial arts expert? Okay, well then we'll work with stunts and the fight team and we'll give you all the appropriate props that you need to become an expert in that particular weapon. So we're constantly learning. Our department is a department of learning. Every week I have to learn something I didn't know. And that's been 37 years of that. So it's always fresh because we never put the same thing on our truck. Almost every other day we're putting something new on or taking something off. And so I spend a lot of time with actors in prep. It's funny, I'm not starstruck. I am when I watch movies, and I'm not Dean Goodine prop master. I'm as big a movie fan as everybody else. But when I walk into a room and Anthony Hopkins is sitting there, I have to suddenly go, I'm here to help you become whatever character you want to be. So suddenly go into a whole different mindset with them. A lot of times we become friends on set, but once the movie's over, it's, everybody goes their own way. And
Yes.
I even do that with my crew. I don't really socialize with my crew when I'm not working. It's so intense when you're working that you just want to get away from it.
Right. So do you have any stories you can, off the top of your head, yet that you can share?
I can't remember what I told you the first time. So I'm like, I should have watched this morning before we started, but I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I have so many stories. I guess I'll go to Sandra Bullock, who is America's sweetheart, obviously. And I did a movie called The Unforgivable with her in 2020. And a lot of actors want to be involved in prep. A lot of times they want to know their props. And Sandra came to all my show and tells. And a show and tell for your audience is what happens is when I'm prepping a movie, I have to put all my ideas together for what I think the actors or what the story needs prop wise. And the first time I do it, I go through it with the director just to make sure, and the production designer to make sure I'm on hitting all the right beats. Well, Sandra came to the very first one. So I hadn't even fleshed out all my ideas. And Sandra was in the room with us and giving us her input in a fun, smiling, cheerful way. And the great thing about that is you watch an actor go over and pick up an item off a table and they suddenly start playing their role. I get to see, a lot of times, I get to see actors suddenly become the character they are in the film long before any of you go to the theater to see it or watch it on Netflix or Apple. I get to watch a scene play out, or I get to watch Kevin Costner and Robert Duvall in a rehearsal walking through the beats of a shootout or however we're going to do things. So I have to pinch myself at times. I have to admit I'm there watching, I'm paying attention to make sure that I'm listening and I'm going to get them exactly what they're discussing. But my brain is going, okay, that's Robert Duvall, or that's Sandra Bullock, or that's Clint Eastwood. I have to compartmentalize that, and I have to stop and think, okay, I need to be focused.
Right. Now, even though you focus and you're concentrating on what your job is, are you ever come across an actor that disappointed you by their behavior? I'm not asking for names.
I know. I get that question a lot. And the reality of that situation is I can honestly say no. I've had moments with actors. I think when you're in a high pressure environment and you're all striving for the same thing, but I try to establish a relationship early with them. There are actors who like to be left alone. They don't want to be talked to. They like to. And so I'm a really quiet person. Matter of fact, I believe props should be seen and not heard. So when I go to a set and I'm presenting an actor with their props, I know the scene. I know the scene. I know if it's comedy. I know if it's light. I know if it's heavy. In The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, a title almost as long as the movie, when the day that Casey Affleck is it's no spoiler alert. Everybody knows that Jesse James was killed by Bob Ford. So when we were filming that scene, I knew the mood of the set that day. So I'm super quiet. I just come in, I show them everything they need. I don't talk to them. I let them talk to me. And if they choose to talk to me, great. If they choose to not say a word or just nod, that's fine. Because my job is I'm not their friend.
Yeah,
I'm their coworker and I want them. So to go back to your very first question, yes, I've had to stare down actors and tell them we're not going to do it that way. But it's not done in a mean, I just explain why.
right.
It's better to do it the other way, especially when safety's involved.
Right. Yeah. I was going to have a question at the top of my head, then now it's gone, so it doesn't matter.
That's okay. That's good. We're just having a conversation. It's called small talk.
Small talk. Yeah, my brain goes all over the place sometimes.
That's perfect. So does mine.
Focus.
Yeah.
Focus. I was just thinking about, like, I remember now again when your first interview you talked about sometimes you have really big pieces of equipment that have to be moved from whatever area.
That's right. Yes, I do remember that conversation.
Yeah. So what were some of the big items?
Well, of course, in the first one, I believe we talked about bringing cannons in from California and all over. A lot of our items in reality are small, but what we have are multiples. I think the largest movement of props I ever had was in 1989. I did a samurai film that only played in the Japanese market called Heaven and Earth, or Tentai was the Japanese name.
Right.
We had 3,000 samurai soldiers fighting battle scenes, of which 1,000 were on horseback. And we were based out of the Goodine Arena in Morley, Alberta, on the Goodine First Nation.
Yeah.
And we decided to go to Bragg Creek to do a unit shoot. So suddenly I had to move. We didn't take all 3,000 background, but I had to have 8 semi-trailers for all the props and the horse tack that were needed on that location. So we had to set up 8 semis to move everything there, to get everything out in front of the battlefield, and then load it in at the end of the day to take back to the Goodine Arena. So that was probably my largest volume. There's a group, I believe we talked about the Teamsters in the first interview. And so there's a group that's dedicated to transportation that move every set piece. And they call it the circus for a good reason, because when a film unit moves, there's an average of anywhere from 100 to 200 pieces of equipment, from semis to crew vans to 5 tons, 10 tons, 3 tons. It's like a moving circus that goes from stop to film those scenes.
Right. Well, yeah, I like there's been filming here in Chilliwack, and there's a place where now they can't load up there anymore, drop their trailers anymore, because there's an apartment building being built there, but there would be all these trailers there.
Yeah.
Of course,
yeah, the location department will find an empty lot somewhere that's close to filming that they can stage. And then there's a component of work trucks that will actually be at the filming site, that service the filming site. Right. So there's probably 30, 40 trucks that will go to the filming site, and the other 100 trucks or so will stay back, depending on the size of the show. Not all shows have 100 trucks. Some shows only have 30 total, but the shows I seem to do have anywhere from 100 to 200 trucks.
Right. Now I imagine there must be a lot of props that are like used, like you keep, for various reasons. Maybe it's going to be needed. You never know, right? So
yeah, surprisingly, I don't do that. I've long ago, I never get emotionally attached to any of my props. So there are some really good rental houses in Vancouver and Calgary that store props. So I would say we probably have a ratio of about, at least the shows I do, I'm probably about 70% new props per show and 30% that I rent, because I tend to do a lot of shows that require manufactured props because they're doing fantasy or whatever. Right. So, but the rental houses in Vancouver and Calgary are really good, and there's great rental houses in Los Angeles. So you kind of know what you have to rent, and the stuff that we're always purchasing things for the actors. We don't like to rent actors' props because of the fact that you keep them the whole show. And if there are reshoots, you want to have them available to you 6 months after the film wraps. If they're in post-production, suddenly have to come back and do additional photography. So generally we'll buy all the actors' props or manufacture them.
So has there ever been, and I don't know if these are in your book or not, so I'm just throwing up these questions.
No, that's good. Just throw it away and I'll see if I can answer.
Where there's been a panic because an item was misplaced and you need it on, on the set?
Sure. Pretty much every second week. No, it happens. Generally, the rule of thumb for us is we want to know where everything is 24 hours before it's needed. Okay. So if we have it in the truck and we want to pull our props a day ahead of time, so we always want to know if there's a problem or something was broken and put back in the drawer, but nobody told us, which rarely happens. But sometimes you pull it out and go, oh, what happened to this? Mm-hmm. So we're always checking our props at least 24 hours beforehand. So we rarely will have that situation, but it does happen, especially when you have hundreds and hundreds of props you have to track. And you've got, in the case of the Apple show C, where we traveled all over the province and I had 5 prop trucks, it was at one point. So it was always trying to keep track of which was on what truck and where.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I imagine having lots of help with that though, right?
Yes. Prop departments, they either go from 2 people to, in the case of C, 26. And I seem to average around 12 to 14 people that work with me on my shows. Nobody works for me. I don't like that term. It's a with department.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Because when I had a team where I said it was like our show, it wasn't my show.
Right? Exactly. exactly. It'd be like on tour or anything.
Yes.
When you're whatever you're doing, we take ownership as a group to what we have to bring to the table.
Yeah. Now I can say my show because I'm all alone.
Yeah, this is your show. You're like, this is you and Rev, whoever that is that keeps sending me the emails, which is nice.
Yeah, she's my production manager. She's also a performer, a singer.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's great.
so do you have a copy of your book on hand that you
You
can?
know, stupidly, I go, here is the book. The prop master left the book in his office because I all my books in Vancouver are gone. So I haven't been home.
Okay.
And I had one in my house. I got to remember to take this home so I can go, here it is.
Yeah.
But I'm here. So anyway, here it is. It's use your imagination. It's available many places for people who have a library card in Vancouver. It's actually I'm more happy that it's in libraries. That's my most exciting thing. It's in the Los Angeles library now. It's in Vancouver has 4 copies. They're always on hold since last summer. Calgary has copies. The Okanagan where I live, they have 5 copies. They're always on hold, which is a nice thing. It's been good. Amazon obviously is selling it, and the publisher Friesen Press sells them, and yeah, the messages I get from around the world is always this thing that stops me. Or I love hearing from the parents of people whose children work in the industry and they have no idea why their children go away at like 6 in the morning and don't get home until 9 o'clock at night. But now they have a better understanding of the insanity, just like in any form of entertainment, from stage to live music to anything. It's the life we choose. It's any sane person would go get a job at a bank or somewhere else, but we're a kind of a unique group that have chosen this life, and I wouldn't have changed anything. Actually.
I was just going to say, and thank goodness for you, because you know the world needs this.
Yeah, we hope that we entertain people. I think that during the pandemic, we all were locked away, and I think I ran through my Netflix catalog pretty good. But the reality is that you hope to entertain people, and we, as below the line workers in film, there's a below the line and above the line. Above the line are your producer, director, cast. Below the line are all the people in the trenches. We're really a blue collar group for the most part. We're no different than electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters. We're hands-on, the physical people that make the shows, much like the stage hands on live shows. We're that group. And so for us, we have no control over the script per se, but what we can do is try to bring the very best things to the set to enhance the show. And sometimes we find research that will help the story. So we tell the actors and the director, look, we had this type of thing that was actually historically accurate. Do you want to use it, or do you want to use something that's a little different but not historically accurate? They always have the choice.
Right. Now, just thinking about how important a job it is, because like as you said, the blue collar workers, without them, the world in any form would not function. It's just
absolutely
simple as that, right?
Yeah, you can only manage so much, but you need the hands to make the management decisions work, and that pretty much is the same in the film. We're hired as department heads to bring our ideas to the table to help them. Technically, I guess I am a manager, and so, but a manager who also is hands-on in management style, and so we bring everything to the table to try to have a successful show, and ultimately we don't want our days to be longer. So if I'm not, it's like everybody brings their own little bubble. Somebody said we all work in these bubbles, but then our bubbles all show up on a set and they all have to interact with each other. And we always have to make sure that our pieces fit all the other pieces, because you don't want to be the department that the camera has to stop filming because your piece doesn't fit into the whole big picture. So that's always the pressure as well, is to not hold up people or embarrass people or make mistakes. Right.
Now, another question, and again, I don't know if it's in your book, but what about animals? Like, do you have to imagine you must get the need of animals sometimes, right?
Yeah. Ironically, early in the mid 80s, when I started in props, we oversaw hiring animal handlers to bring small animals to set. But thankfully, that's been taken away from us. I'm happy about that. I just felt like we had so much going on. They're their own special department. From you name an animal on a set, they have a specialty person that brings that animal to set that specializes in that animal. The American Humane Association are heavily involved. They monitor all the animal action on set and the hours that the animals can be on set, how they're treated on set, the food, all of that. It's not unlike an actor. They are actors, and they get special treatment to make sure they're taken care of properly. And all my props, for instance, they removed the edge, and all my props that interacted with Bart the bear had to be made specifically. Obviously, we don't want to ever harm an animal, but
Yes.
there were very specific rules about the spears that Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin used in fighting the bear, and all that interaction with the bear. Everything that I made had to be able to be ingested by the bear and not hurt them. So to try to make a spear that, if Bart the bear ate it, isn't going to hurt him, made us use a lot of experimental materials, and it came down to basically paper, which was really difficult in a creek when you're fighting a bear and you've got a paper spear. So we had to make a whole lot of them. At the end of the movie, the American Humane Society rep came up to me and said, "These are the best props I've ever seen for animal interaction. You should market these. You should patent it." And my reaction was, if I unleash this on other prop masters in the world, I will get hate mail for the rest of my life. So no, we figured out, and that's what all prop masters do. We figure out a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We figure out how to solve it. We figure out how to bring it to set. And it's constant. It never ends. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had to do electronics in water that had to last for 2 hours without shorting out or anything. And obviously, you put electronics in, it's not like it's an AC, it's a whole battery system, so it's safe for anybody in the water. But again, I hadn't done that before. So there I am sitting there with the builders trying to figure it out and testing it and making sure it works. So
this is so cool. Remind everybody again, this has to be, because we're going to run out of time, the name of your book again, please.
They Don't Pay Me to Say No, My Life in Film and Television Props. And it's available on Amazon, Indigo, Barnes and Noble. It's available pretty much everywhere. You just do a Google search and you'll get links.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Thanks very much, Dean. Just stay online while I say goodbye to everybody. So
Okay.
Once again, you've been listening to Dean Goodine talking about his book, and get a copy. Again, whether you go to the library or buy it through Amazon or one of the other Indigo, one of the other places. It's always, I think it would be fascinating to read. So thankfully I have a library card, so I'm going to see if I can get it in here in Chilliwack. Thanks again, everybody, for watching the show. Thank you, Dean, and take care, everybody, and peace out.
Thanks, Nancy.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.